Hello, this is Ernest Burley, your CIA, your cool insurance agent, back at you again with some more great information on insurance. I'm a licensed insurance agent with over 30 years experience with clients all across the country. I specialize in various areas of insurance, whether it be auto or long-term care, home, life, disability, condo, renters policies, business policies, church policies, whatever type of insurance policy that you need. We can give you, good advice on what's in your best interest. The purpose of this podcast is to educate you, to enlighten you, to empower you with unbiased, clear, objective information so you can make the right decisions for yourself and for your family. That's what this is all about. I want you to get the good information, the right information, so you can make a good decision and put yourself in an advantageous position, as opposed to being the victim of not knowing something about some particular insurance policy or plan. Okay, that's it for the intro. I just wanted to give you some information about me. I have clients all over the country. Just as a matter of fact, just finished a disability policy for a client in South Carolina. So we have clients from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the North to the South, all over the country. Okay, so we can help you out if you need some assistance. All right, so here we go. This podcast, the title of this podcast is 6 Steps to Read a Life Insurance Illustration. I've been alluding to this for weeks and weeks on doing a podcast on actually reading or showing you how to read a life insurance illustration, as opposed to getting confused and not knowing what you're buying or what you're being illustrated. Okay, so the podcast, 6 Steps to Read a Life Insurance Illustration, 6 easy steps to read a life insurance illustration. Know before you go. Okay, you want to know before you go buy this policy. Okay, now you'll be glad you did this. Very glad that you did this. So these 6 steps are going to save you a lot of headaches. It's going to save you a lot of time, so you won't waste time applying for the wrong policy, and also save you a lot of money, so you don't end up paying for the wrong type of policy. I've had clients think they had whole life, but it was really universal life, and just, so know what you're being illustrated, what someone's offering you, so you make sure that you're buying the right thing. Okay, what fits your best interest and what you have desired. Okay, a lot of the key information that you're interested is really on the first, maybe not the first, but maybe 5 or 6 pages of the entire illustration. Some illustrations are short. Some illustrations are like 5 or 6 pages, but a lot of illustrations are like 30 pages or more. So of that entire illustration, really maybe 4, 5, or 6 of those pages is like really the information that you'd really be interested in. So we're going to go over the 6 steps that you need to go over to make sure you are looking at the right policy or the right illustration for yourself. Okay, so step number 1, the information page. Let's look for the information page, and that's usually 1 page. It's usually at the beginning of the illustration. Sometimes it's deeper in the illustration, but oftentimes it's like the first 1 or 2 pages of the entire illustration. And that page is going to have your name, your age, the rating that they're giving you, like say preferred or tobacco use or standard or super preferred or select or whatever. The rating that they're giving you is based on the health of yourself, the company's name, the type of policy, the amount of coverage that you're applying for, any riders in the actual premium. So that information will be on 1 page. That's the information page. So let's find that first. And like I said, it's normally like the first 1 or 2 pages of the illustration. And sometimes it's a little deeper in there, but just thumb through there until you see that information, your name, your age, the amount of coverage, the type of coverage, the premium, the annual premium, that type of stuff will be on the information page. So that's step 1. Now, that's very important information to know, of course, right? Tip number 1, if you see the term flexible premium anywhere, it is very likely a universal life policy. So here you go again. Tip number 1, if you see flexible premium anywhere on that life insurance illustration, it is very, 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 very highly likely a universal life policy, not a whole life policy that's being illustrated. Okay. And like I said before, sometimes people think they have whole life and it's universal life. I've had that happen to several clients that I've had to, help out. So let's make sure we know what that means. Okay, so that's tip number 1. And I've always said, beware of universal life policies. I've addressed that in previous podcasts, and I may do like a whole podcast on universal life policies. We'll see. But beware of universal life policies. If you see flexible premium, it's a universal life policy, and you better be aware because there are a lot of moving parts that you need to be aware of in a universal life policy. Tip number 2, the riders are defined in the illustration. You're normally on 1 or 2 pages of the illustration. So just slowly scroll down until you see those riders, and they're defined. I mean, the rider will be right there, and there will be a definition, a paragraph that explains exactly what that rider is. So read the definition for the rider so you'll know what it is, and also you can decide whether you want that rider or not. Now, some of the riders are built into the policy, but some you pay an extra premium for. So look at the rider, understand what it is, and say, okay, yeah, that's something I want, or nah, not so much, don't want that. So just scroll down and read that, okay? Now, step number 2, look for the age, the page that lists your age, okay? So scroll through the illustration and look for the page that lists your age. So 30 years old, right? 40, 50, or whatever. And then every year thereafter, it's going to list every one of your years, right? It's going to start at your first year, like basically now, right? Because you're given a quote based on your current age. So that age will be the first. So 30 years old, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. It's going to say every one of your ages all the way down the line. So find that page that starts with your age, and then look to the immediate right of your age. And guess what? There's your premium, okay? And that premium is normally annualized. So if your monthly premium is being quoted at $30 a month, then it's going to say 360. It's going to say 360. If it's $100 per month, it's going to say 1,200. So your age will be there, and the premium will be right next to it. Normally, to the immediate right of your age will be the premium that you're going to be paying at that age. So 30, 31, 32, 33, 50, 51, 52, 60, 67, 68, all the way down. And that premium will be right there too, what the premium is going to be at those ages. So look for that page or those pages that have your ages and the premium right next to it, okay? Now, if you're older, you're gonna have less pages, right? If you're younger, you're gonna have more pages because there are gonna be more ages for them to illustrate and show you what your premiums will be. This is very important information, right? Because this column will show you how much your premiums will be and how long you'll be paying those premiums. Very important information. So that's step 2. Step 3, look further to the right for the death benefit column. It's normally like the next column over, or the next column over. Is normally 1 or 2 columns over from that premium column. It will show the death benefit. So $1 million or $100,000, whatever the amount of coverage is that you are having them illustrate or applying for, they look for that column. Now, look for the guaranteed death benefit column if it's a universal life policy. Because with a universal life policy, they have a guarantee column, and then they have normally 2, I should say column, sections. Let's say sections. So if you look at the top, you'll see the section that will say guaranteed at the top, and then there will be 2 other sections to the right that say non-guaranteed. Let's not worry about the non-guaranteed side. Look for the guaranteed column and look for that death benefit, and just scroll all the way down and keep looking for that bad boy, okay? Now, that's step number 3. Step number 4, scroll down and look for any change in premium. So I already showed you how to look for your premium, right? It's right next to your age. Look for the premium in your age and keep going all the way down and look to see when that premium is going to change, okay? That's step number 4. And the typical culprits for the premium changing are term policies and universal life policies. So after that term, after you're 30 years into that policy, if it's a 30-year term policy, you're going to see the rate go through the roof. It's going to blow up, right? So you see 30, then you see 31, you're going to say, what? The premium is going to be crazy. And then every year thereafter, it's going to increase. So look for that. The term policy, the typical culprit for a change in premium is a term policy, and also universal life policies, right? Same thing with them. It's a little different with universal life policies. The premium, we're going to have to do a separate podcast on it. Let's do that because it's a little tricky with universal life policies, right? So the premium does change later on in those policies for traditional universal life policies. For guaranteed universal life policies, no. And those plans, I do advocate guaranteed universal life policies, okay? Step number 5, scroll down and look for any change in death benefit, okay? So I showed you how to find the death benefit, right? The same page that has your age, the premium, and then a couple columns to the right, you'll see death benefit. Keep going all the way down until you see a change in death benefit. The typical culprit there is a universal life policy. Usually you will see zeros there eventually in the guaranteed death benefit side. So we want to scroll all the way down to see when that coverage is not going to be there anymore. Okay. That's step number 5. Very important information to know. Step number 6, look for the zeros or the lapse, like I alluded to in step number 5. Look for when that policy is basically going to end, whatever type of policy it is. So scroll all the way down. You got your age, the premium, the death benefit. Just scroll all the way down that page or those pages to see when these changes will occur. Okay. Very important information to know. The typical culprit for a policy having zeros across the board or lapse is a universal life policy. That's a typical culprit of something like that happening. So know before you go. Know before you go buy a policy. Know this information first, okay? Now here's a bonus step, because that was it. That was my 6 steps right there. Short, sweet, and easy. A bonus step. If this is a permanent policy, which it basically lasts for life, is not term, and you want to check out the cash value, look at the headings. I alluded to that earlier. The headings that say, guaranteed at the top. And they're whole life policies that have guaranteed cash values and non-guaranteed columns too, or I should say non-guaranteed sections. Now with a whole life policy, you have a guaranteed cash value. So it shows you every year what your cash value will be at any point in time. The non-guaranteed side on the whole life insurance includes dividends, because some policies, they call them participating policies. They pay a dividend also in addition to the cash value that's guaranteed, but they don't guarantee the dividend, right? So that's why it's called the non-guaranteed cash value side of a whole life policy, because that side includes the dividend that they could possibly pay into the policy, but they don't guarantee that. Okay, so look for the cash value. So look to see if you're going to have a big surprise or a little surprise in 10, 20, 30 years. If you scroll all the way down and look at that cash values, look at the guaranteed cash value side on the universal life and the whole life. Look at the guaranteed. The non-guaranteed, don't focus too much on that because it's not guaranteed, right? So you go all the way down, keep looking and say, oh, wow, man, in 10 years, I'm going to have some cash buildup in there, or in 20 years or in 30 years, when I'm 65, 70 years old, man, I'm going to have 30, 50, 80, $100,000 of cash in there. So find out if it's going to be a big surprise or a letdown. Because some policies will leave, like a universal life policy, you will probably have no cash value, and a guaranteed universal life policy later on in life, but you have a guaranteed death benefit. So we'll talk about that later. And that's it. That's it for our podcast. Okay. So let's recap it real quick. Know before you go. That's the recap. Know before you go. Know before you go buy this policy. You want to know what kind of policy it is, know how it performs. And I just went over it with those 6 easy steps. And that takes me right into our takeaways. This is our takeaway. Carefully follow the 6 steps that we just went over, right? If you follow those 6 steps, it's going to be hard for you to misunderstand, or someone to try and get over on you based on an illustration, because you're going to follow these 6 steps and know exactly what type of plan it is, exactly how it's going to perform over time, and you'll know what you're getting before you buy it, as opposed to buying it and then later on sending it to me to take a look at it and saying, yeah, this isn't what you think it is, right? So I don't want you to have to do that. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please spread the podcast to others and ask them to do the same, and so on and so on and so on, so the podcast can go viral. You guys check out my YouTube channel. I have all my podcasts are on YouTube, so you can always go to YouTube and check it out. I have a different podcast on different things, not just insurance. So it's a lot of insurance on there, home insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, long-term care, different types of insurance. But I also talk about things like how to be successful in your career, and real estate or real mistake, talk about real estate. I'll talk about different areas of life that, can hopefully help you out there. Okay. And I also have some 1-minute snippets in there. They're not all like long podcasts, which are, 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. I have 1-minute snippet videos in there that talk about various areas of insurance also, and other aspects of life in general, just general information that I think will be helpful to you. Okay. If you want to connect with me, very easy to do that. My email address is ernestburleyjr@gmail.com, just my full name @gmail.com. So that's ERNESTBURLEYJR@gmail.com. Or you can call my firm, which is 301-262-2600. Again, that's 301-262-2600. I look forward to hearing from you either via email or some social media platform, or if you give me a call, we can have a chat. Okay. So that's it for today's podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And look forward to speaking with you and chatting with you next go round. Okay. Until we speak again, or till we see each other again, or meet again, or podcast again. Y'all take care and be safe out there. Okay.